Hey guys, my name is Margaret, and you gave me $159,000 to spend no money on set dressing, spend no money on wardrobe, spend no money on getting my hair fixed, and when I go to finally film this thing, I'm just going to do that with my makeup. Just let my eyebrows go wild. Because that's what you're supposed to do in a professional video, right? So I guess we've all seen this by now. The newest Feminist Frequency movie video film took 3 years to produce, about 8 pages worth of a transcript, or a 30-minute video. Probably my favorite part of this whole transcript we got here is the opening statement, which is something, Anita's never really had to warn people about before. The fact that for once there's going to be a hypersexualized woman on screen. And obviously she's telling us that we have to be necessarily and, possibly critical of all the media that we enjoy. That's going to be especially important to keep in mind given the video game franchise we're about to discuss, except she turns off all the comments on her videos. So what we're going to do is kind of dive right into some of the biggest and brightest mistakes that we have in this whole thing here. Of course, the first error, the first mistake that she makes, other than, not bothering to pass a straightener through her hair, is calling, what did she call the lady from Metroid again? Yeah, the trans woman from Metroid? Yeah, like Shamu, or I can't even remember what she called Samus. When I was playing video games back before I could read, I used to mispronounce names all the time. I didn't know what anything was called. So a girl's going on here complaining about how Shamus, she calls her, what, Shamus? Anyway, so the girl goes on here. She's talking about Samus Aran. Even I'm getting this mixed up right now. Samus Aran! You make... The way that you write this, the way that Josh writes this, makes it almost sound as if you understand what it was like to play video games before the internet era came around. I really appreciate that you think that I actually knew what the movie Alien was at the time. I don't have too much to say about Samus other than Samus Aran. Look it up. $159,000. You can't even look up the name of a character. Ugh, this is what people do with their money. Let their eyebrows go on vacation and mispronounce names of characters. In one sense, Samus Aran definitely did subvert traditional gender tropes of the 1980s by taking on the role of intrepid hero. Yeah, because it's not like there were, movies like Terminator coming out in the 80s, she mentions that Metroid, the lady in Metroid, is based off of the movie Alien, but then she goes on to say that, there was... women were heroes back in the 80s, because any of this makes sense at all. $159,000. She really could have finished this off by saying yet, and, yet Samus wasn't a damseled woman, and just let it go from there. But apparently Samus is, trans now or something, so I have no idea how to read any of this. We can trace the roots of the women as reward trope all the way back to the beginnings of the medium itself. Yeah, she's not talking about the medium of human storytelling, she's talking about the medium of video games. So I guess she's going to go back, further than Pong, a little further than Atari, a little, back to those little, bouncing ball games that people used to mix up. We can trace the roots of the women as reward trope all the way back to the beginnings of the medium itself. I'm guessing that she's probably talking about Pong, horrible, horrible sexist game. As we discussed in our Damsel in Distress miniseries, upon successful completion of many arcade games, players were rewarded with the related smooch of victory trope. She doesn't actually tell you which game that started in. That actually would have been a helpful little bit of information. But no, you can't really get, a smooch of victory after you finish, killing off a couple of aliens in an old Atari console. Or an arcade console. I don't think that she really understands the difference, or what was happening in pre-1983 in video games. She doesn't really talk about 1970s feminism very much, gotta mention that. So what else? She goes on to mention a whole bunch of video games that nobody cares about. Probably overall my favorite thing about her having a problem with the women as rewards. Call me crazy when it comes to women as reward, but if some gigantic beefy guy managed to kill a couple of dragons and come save me, I'd probably be a little interested in at least talking to the fellow. He'd get my phone number is what I'm saying. A smooch of victory really isn't asking very much. Oh, I like this. Oh, this is another part where she really doesn't care too much about the history of actual video games. Easter eggs are, of course, not inherently problematic. She doesn't actually bother to go around and mention the Konami code, but it is nice to know that all those websites that keep a Konami code in the background aren't inherently problematic. They're just, on the surface problematic, I guess. Then she goes on to start ripping on Metal Gear Solid. Okay, so Easter eggs are not inherently problematic. but they are not accidents or glitches. They're intentionally put into the games by the designers, indicate the value of the designers themselves. Okay, the reason that a lot of these Easter eggs existed was because it was the only way for a designer to get something past the testing phase. So, when Easter eggs first started, there wasn't that much room for extra coding in the carts for, say, Atari games. So what the designer would do is go sneak their initials somewhere. It wasn't supposed to be in the game. It was an Easter egg because you had to work to find it, and it wasn't supposed to be there. Yeah, so when you're talking about these Easter eggs from the early 90s, when we're talking about NES and SNES carts here, nobody was catching the Easter eggs. Nobody was catching the Easter eggs. That was the point. It was supposed to be snuck by. Oh, this is also wonderful. She goes on to start talking about alternative costumes for men and women, or, just different skins to put on them, I guess. Alternative costumes, which really isn't something I need as much of an expert in, considering all the plaid and the hoop earrings. What else? Yeah, female NPCs, the female non-player characters who are designed to function as sexually objectified set dressing. Then she goes on to start ripping on The Witcher, which I'm not even going to get into, because Vavra's already taken care of all that. Achievements on Sony PlayStation platforms are called trophies, but back when they were first introduced, they were called entitlements, which is a fitting name for those that fall into the women as a reward trope. She's proven it. Trophies used to be called entitlements. God, how can I... You know what? She's just been right the whole time. Trophies used to be called entitlements. Yeah, just everything's, sexualized and horrible. Wait a second. If she has such a problem with these old arcade games, then what does she want us to go back to in terms of video games? Oh, this is good too. This is just completely shoehorn this into here. What is it? Yeah. Unlike access to clean water or health care, which should be considered human rights that all people deserve simply for being human. You're paying money for a socialist to go ahead. $159,000 to be told that you guys need socialized health care the same way that you need a woman like Anita. Got another good one here. The male entitlement mindset has a profound impact on how men relate to and interact with women. We see it manifest whenever a man orders a woman to show him her tits or makes demands during an online game that a woman send him nudes or sexual photos. Okay, this is pretty much just the long form of saying I don't understand how Chan culture or non-culture works, but I'll show you what happens when a guy tells you to send him nude photos or show you his tits. Hey Margaret, show me your tits. Ha 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 ha. No, that's all right, because I'm a living, breathing human being, and I'm able to say no to this sort of request without, getting my panties in a knot. Look, and I've done it, and now I don't have to show anything off to my poor little puppy dog here. My little sad puppy. I like you. You can stay with me for the rest of the video. You can help me read these words. Whee! Buying a woman dinner. Oh, I can't even get into this. I just can't even. This is good. She's complaining about different attitudes that, taught through a complex socialization process impacted by a whole host of factors, from families, religions, peer groups, movies, pop music, mainstream pornography, as opposed to, downstream pornography, and video games, can all play a part in the construction and perpetuation of this mentality. So I don't know what she wants to do other than just burn the entire world to the ground, bring it back up in her image. I'm Canadian, I really don't mind plaid. I own quite a few plaid things, but there's definitely a limit. I should probably mention, normally I'd be wearing my big old hoop earrings for this video, but the pair that I got have been making my ears bleed, which I think is a sign saying that nobody should be wearing hoop earrings that often. Players make the correct inputs into the game. A woman's affection or her body is the corresponding output. Players go through the process of saving the princess, and the game's algorithm computers are performing a duty right now. I don't know, Twilight Zone stuff here. And the game's algorithm dutifully rewards them with what they think are rightfully owed for doing so, whether it be a kiss, a girlfriend, or sexual attention. Just a small little problem with this, but not even getting into the actual content. There's an Oxford comma in here. These are Oxford commas. I don't know. It's not acceptable. Not acceptable, is it, you sad puppy? Oh, you're so sad. I haven't named him yet. I should probably just call him Hugo, I think. Cognitively, it's strikingly similar to the expectation that if a man buys a woman a few drinks, then he is owed sex. Girl, I don't know if you've ever been to a bar. Here's one of the cruxes of the issues, if you would get down to it. In the gaming community, we see this entitlement-fueled outrage bubble to the surface when some gamers encounter indications that the games aren't made exclusively with their fantasies in mind. You know, she bases a lot of her silly thinking around here for, what is it, the white, straight, cis-het male. No, I'm adding a few things. Something about a straight male, which I'm assuming is probably going to be white, because, you know, only white people can afford things like video games, and, you know, only white people exist, right? You know, she builds a lot of her criticisms on games, saying that games are built for straight men, but then she talks about all these studies saying that more women than ever are playing video games, and then she's saying that men are driving women and minorities out of video games. The video games cost so much to produce, and if they're trying to go after their target market of straight men, then the marketers are not doing their job properly, and they're not giving good information to the people developing the games, because apparently games are only ever played by, you know, women of color. There's so many different little inconsistencies around here. The only strong argument that she really makes at the end of this is that you should probably start giving her some more money, because she does warn us. The good news is that because male entitlement is a learned attitude, it can, through education by feminist frequency and conscious effort by watching feminist frequency videos, be unlearned. And game systems are capable of being part of that transformative process. I'm not sure if she's talking about systems as in, like, you know, just a wider concept, or if she means actual consoles, if she's one of those people. Just as their interactivity makes them a powerful tool for reinforcing male entitlement, so too could that interactivity be harnessed to disrupt antiquated gender dynamics. Antiquated? She's not even going past the 1980s in this. Gender dynamics. And engage us with game mechanics that explore more equitable interactions between people of all genders. Okay, so now she's going after the game mechanics involved? She doesn't even know who she's fighting against. She doesn't know her enemy. She doesn't know if it's the game mechanics, which is the way that a character can jump in a game, is the problem. She doesn't know if it's antiquated gender dynamics as a whole. So it really does look as if we're stuck in this horrible gender war here. You know, I don't really know how to fix it. You don't know how to fix it. Anita knows how to fix it. You know, I'm sure that Anita probably could fix all of her gender woes, if this was even a problem in video games. You know what, there's not even enough content here for me to even really criticize. It's just the same old, same old, same old. Oh, whatever. I guess I'll see you in 3 years. So if you like the video, and if you want to see more things like this, you can hit like and subscribe down at the bottom, and you can follow me at Twitter. That's @Margaret'sBelly.